Good morning. This is Loren Lockman. I'm coming to you from the Tanglewood Wellness Center in Costa Rica. And I've been asked this morning to talk a little bit about supplementation. If you've been watching my videos, you probably know that I don't recommend supplements. And the real question here, I think, is why not? What is it about supplementation? Clearly, many people appear to benefit from taking supplements. And I would suggest that that's absolutely true. And yet, this is a much more complex issue than most people make it out to be. For many people, it seems very simple. If you have an iron deficiency, just take an iron supplement. Why not? And so let's explore that a little bit today. Let me start by pointing out what seems to me to be the logical frame. Now, every place, as you guys here with me know, I think I've said this to you already, everything I teach and practice, all my philosophy is based on one simple premise. And that simple premise is that nature is perfect. We can never improve on her. Well, one of the things that suggests to me is that, like every other species, there should be the ability for any animal that's consuming its natural diet to get everything it needs. Okay, imagine for a second the howler monkeys that we heard this morning. Did you guys know howler? You know what they were saying to each other? One of them was asking the other ones, "Hey, how do you guys get enough iron? Where do we get? What should I be eating to get it? I want to make sure I get all the riboflavin I need today. What should I eat for that?" Right? I'm pretty sure they don't think about that. No animal is intellectualizing its nutritional needs. They probably haven't actually finished doing all the chemistry to figure out what it is that they need. Right? They just what? Eat food. They just eat their natural food, and they get everything they need, almost without exception. So first of all, doesn't it seem a little strange that so many people have nutrient deficiencies when in nature that's almost unheard of? What's going on with human beings that make it so hard for us to get what we need from eating the food we eat? I would suggest that there are two aspects to that answer that we need to look at, and only two. There's only two things I can think of. Now, first of all, many people would say, well, the soils are depleted, and they are. And some of you may be aware when the English settlers first came to the United States, there was something like 17 feet of topsoil across North America, and over 90% of North America was forested, which is why we had all this beautiful soil, because what happens in a forest? Leaves fall, branches fall, things die, everything goes back into the soil. People come along, take all the trees out, strip everything off the land to grow some food, and what happens? We wind up destroying most of the soil. So now there's, in most places, no more than a couple of feet of topsoil at the most. And that's just in a few hundred years. And by the way, this is a little bit off topic, but we are destroying much of the soil in the United States. Where we're growing grains, we are bringing the salt table up. When that salt reaches the topsoil, that topsoil will be poisoned, and nothing will grow in it until there's enough time for that salt to be filtered back out.
Is that just because of irrigation, or is that...
Well, I don't think it's because of irrigation. I think it's because of the way we grow food, but I'm not an expert there. Read Diet for New America. So, John Robbins, great book. Seminal book for me. So, when we think about this, coming back to this question, how is it that the people are eating food all the time and still not getting what they need? Well, the first thing, and again, I've probably said this to you guys too, you may have heard this too if you've watched my other videos, it's not about what goes in here. What are we really concerned about? Not what goes in our mouths, but rather
what we can assimilate.
What we can actually get into ourselves, what we're able to assimilate. Now, in order to assimilate properly, what do we need to do? Because assimilation is the third step in a three-step process from the time we eat until the time we get things into ourselves. The first thing we have to be able to do is digest properly. The second thing we have to be able to do is absorb properly. And the third thing, to assimilate. what we've absorbed. If there's a breakdown anywhere along the way, we've got a problem. So what I would suggest is that there are only two possible reasons why so many people have deficiencies, or why any people have deficiencies. One is the food that they're eating is insufficient. Now, if we talked briefly the other day, or mentioned Morgan Spurlock's documentary, Supersize Me, right? So not hard to imagine, I think, for many of us, that if you ate nothing but McDonald's, you might wind up with some deficiencies. By the way, did you guys hear, just about 6 months ago, I think, I read a story about a woman. She was in her 20s, in the U.S. somewhere, and when she was 2 or 3 years old, her mother took her to McDonald's, and she loved Chicken McNuggets, which you may realize isn't actually chicken. Like, there's almost no real anything in there. But she loved Chicken McNuggets. And for 20-plus years, she'd been living almost exclusively on Chicken McNuggets. We were just talking about living on one thing at a time, only one kind of food. What happened to her? Well, in her early 20s, she had developed severe kidney and severe liver diseases. Gosh, what a surprise. Okay? So anyway, if you're eating only McDonald's, you might wind up with some deficiencies because the diet is crap. Okay? That shouldn't be news to anybody watching this video or sitting here with me right now. But what if the diet's not crap? Or what if the diet's crap? What else might be going on? Because in most cases, if the diet is always crap, there's going to be a second problem too. And this problem will carry over to almost every human being. What's that? Well, what if you're putting adequate amounts of the highest quality food in here, but it's not getting into the cells? In other words, either the diet is at fault or the body itself is incapable of properly processing and using what we're consuming. So if the body is inefficient, if it's not digesting properly, if it's not absorbing properly, if it's not assimilating properly, if it's not able to do what it needs to do, it doesn't matter what we consume, we may not be getting it into our cells. So those are the two issues. So first of all, those of you that are here with me chose to come here, and you've taken a significant chunk of time out of your life, right? You know, more than a month in the case of everyone here, more than a couple months in the case of some of you. There was a significant cost to come here, not only what you paid to be at Tanglewood, but also just to get here from where you live. People here from 3 countries right now. Why did you do that? Why did you come here? I think what's true is that each of you wanted to give your body a chance to cleanse and heal itself. Right? That's what this is about. You understood that that was an important aspect of getting your health back. It was giving your body a chance to do what it needed to do. But needless to say, most people never do that. How many people do you know in your life who have fasted for 26 days or 30 days or 42 days? You don't know anybody. You don't know anybody. You don't know anybody either.
No.
So, needless to say, it's not a common thing. So, maybe it's not so. I mean, if most people haven't really taken the time to give the body a chance to cleanse, maybe it's not so surprising that so many bodies may not work as well as they could. You're already noticing, in just a week, massive shifts in how your body is functioning. Yes?
Yes.
And the others of you may not have had quite as obvious shifts in just this first week yet. Clearly there's things going on, though. And you may have to trust me on this, but I can tell you from my own significant experience of fasting almost 4 dozen times that over the last 20-plus years, that once my body got clean, when I fast, nothing happens. I feel exactly the same as I do when I'm eating, except less full, less, right? My belly gets empty, and I get even thinner than I am now. But other than that, I don't get headaches or have issues, because if your body's not detoxifying, not cleansing, there's nothing to experience. So the fact that you're experiencing something means your body is cleansing. Well, the average person has never done this. There's something else about what you guys did, though. You came here because I hope at some level you realized that it was time to stop treating symptoms. Have you ever treated symptoms? You ever taken a medication of any kind? That's only treating symptoms. Okay. Has anyone here ever used herbs of any kind? Now, many herbalists are going to argue with me about this one. In fact, I just was in a discussion on Facebook. People saying, oh no, this stuff is good for you. It heals your body. It's an herb. It doesn't. It burns. We're talking about capsaicin. Burns your tissue. We talked about this, right? Your body speeds up circulation and makes mucus to try to get rid of it. Yes, you might feel better, but it's not food. There's a dosage. What does that mean? If there's a dosage, what does it mean? It means it's toxic. If someone has to say, don't consume more than this amount, well, there's a reason for that. It's not food. Nothing outside of us heals the body. The body heals itself. So you all decided at some level that you were going to stop treating symptoms and give the body a chance to heal itself. Right? I applaud you for that. It's a brave person that's able to come to that decision in a world that doesn't support that decision. So let's back up. Let's come back to the original question. You can eliminate a deficiency. Let's say you have an iron deficient anemia. Well, can't you take an iron supplement? Yes, you can. But what's the cause of that iron deficient anemia? I've just suggested to you there's only two possible causes. And in most cases, both of them are probably at work. One of them, the diet's insufficient. There isn't enough iron in the food you're eating. The second one, your body is incapable of doing what it needs to do with that iron. It can't absorb, it can't assimilate, it's not able to get what it needs from it. I'll take questions a little later. So, if you take a supplement, are you addressing the cause of the problem? Are you fixing the diet by taking a supplement? Let's say you're eating nothing but McDonald's and an iron supplement. Oh, now it's a healthy diet. You fix the diet with the iron supplement, right? Of course not. The diet's still crap. You haven't fixed anything. Okay? It's a Band-Aid. Well, but if you take the supplement, then your body becomes able to efficiently assimilate and process what it would. No, you haven't done anything about that. Well, you have done something about that, but it may not be what you thought it was. What do I mean? I've mentioned to you guys the law of efficiency. The law of efficiency is a law of nature that affects every organism. And it says every organism in every moment is attempting to get the most benefit for the least amount of effort. The most benefit for the least amount of effort. Now this is applies all over the place. But here's one way it applies. Imagine that you break your leg. Anyone ever broken a leg? You break a leg, you get a pair of crutches. Okay? Why do you use crutches? So you don't have to, you can get around without putting any strain or stress or pressure or weight on the broken leg. Because it's not going to heal if you use it, right? You have to give it a chance to heal. You have to leave it alone. But what if you never put the crutches down? What happens to your leg in that circumstance?
It gets weak.
It gets weak. Eventually, the muscles completely atrophy. I wouldn't be surprised if over enough time, your body says, you know what, let's just jettison the leg. We'll just leave it here. Why keep hauling it around? It's not doing anything for us. It's not helping in any way. Let's just get rid of it. Okay, if you never put the crutches down. The problem is that when we begin to use a crutch of any kind, the body becomes dependent on the crutch. We've talked about eyesight. How many people do you know that started wearing glasses and then saw their eyesight improve? Don't most people have to get new, stronger prescriptions every year or two? Yeah. Why? Because when you give the body that crutch, the body says, I don't have to do that work anymore. Don't have to do it. Okay? Your body becomes reliant on a crutch. What happens when we take a supplement? Same thing. I recently saw an ad online for some hormone supplement. I don't remember exactly what it was. It was a natural hormone, but it was one of these things where you can be better if you take more of it, right? That was the come on, basically. But they said in the ad, I read through this whole page, and it said, don't use this product every day. Anybody want to guess why not?
Toxic.
It wasn't toxicity. It wasn't toxicity. It relates directly to the law of efficiency. What it said was, if you use the product every day, your body stops making the hormone. We talked about type 1 diabetes, and I told you guys, I only take people with a certain profile. Part of that profile is they can't have been using insulin for very long. Why not? Because if you've been on insulin for 20 years, your pancreas is likely never going to produce enough. It hasn't had to. It's probably lost the ability to. You gave it a crutch, it became dependent on the crutch. If you're using supplements, you become dependent on the supplements. And your body becomes less able. Not only does it not become more able to get what it needs from your food, it becomes less able to get what you need from your food. You become dependent on that crutch.